All right, here's what we're working on today. The gentleman is here to put the liner in. They're just getting the liner unrolled now. We ended up priming the inside of the box here yesterday. We moved that outside and they're getting the liner unrolled. And this side of it here that we're looking at is going to be the top. And what they're going to do is get it unrolled. And we're going to bring the liner inside the shop. They're going to score it so that it will bend in the corners of the box itself. So this box is 26 foot long and this liner is probably 28 feet. I don't know the exact length of the liner, but it's all of 10 feet wide here. So they're unrolling it, and once they get it all unrolled, like I said, we're gonna pull it inside and we'll get... You want a chain to hook on?
You want to help hold that side?
Yep, I'm gonna put this down and...
Side back.
Want me to come underneath it?
Can you stand on the porch where he is? Matt, let him stand there. You come back here and lift this corner. Tell him to back. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay, bring it this way. That's scary. That liner flips on you, squish your ass. Pick this up.
So the liner is inside, and what they're doing now is they're scoring it. They're putting, I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 lines that they're gonna put in the liner. They're cutting down in with that circular saw, maybe halfway, and they're putting the lines where it's gonna meet the corner of the body, because part of that plastic is gonna come up the side, and what them cut lines will do is it will enable the plastic to kind of form itself in that 90-degree corner. This stuff it's all of a 1/2 inch thick, a big 3/8 to a 1/2 inch thick, and you would not be able to bend that if they didn't score it. We put a liner in one of my uncle's trucks several years ago, and it was only 1/4 inch thick. We were able to use all the things that I use to push the sides out on the body to form it into the corners, and then we heated it up as well. I think they have, this one side is done. You can kind of see the lines that they've cut in there, and then when the liner is folded, them lines you won't even see them. They're also going to be doing some plastic welding here, which I have not seen done before. So when the body is formed up in the front of the box, they'll do some plastic welding. So we've got the frac tank in here too. Jered is setting the frac tank up so that we can run the load cart off it. Just put a key valve in so that it will bypass the manure from going up the load pipe, and it'll go to a load cart so that we can load the tanker in a spot where maybe we can't get the tanker up to the frac tank. However, what we do is we need the frac tank closer to the road. However, if we've got a narrow driveway or something, we can run the load cart off of it maybe 50, 60 to 100 feet away, so that we can better utilize the frac tank that way. So, all right, so Jered has this apart, and what he has to do is he has to take this T here and he has to shorten it up 1.5 inches. When this was on there, it was up about 1.5 inches too high to meet this pipe here. And this is the agitation to the frac tank itself. That we can climb up, we'll show you what it looks like. But that blasts manure back into the frac tank, and that allows us to be able to agitate things. And because this is somewhat of a retrofit, the original T that was on here was sloped down. It was set down a little bit so that when they had this T in there with this gate valve here, so that they could shut the, well, where was this gate valve? I forget where now, but at any rate, maybe it was down here, I forget. But that T was lined up with this agitation port, so we'll go ahead and climb up on here. So this line here, that long one, is the agitation port. And there's a couple of, they look like spread plates. There's 4 of them in there, and that blasts the manure back forward so that it'll agitate this frac tank out. Got her figured, Bob? So he'll cut the flange off, take 1.5 inches out, or 1 3/8 inches maybe, and then just weld the flange back on so that this will line up. It has a lay flat hose. Was it a lay flat hose or contractor hose? Contractor hose. That thicker stuff there, that went in between the joints there, and 1.5 inches, if it was longer, you'd be able to get away with it, but it's just so short that we can't just jam it in there. All right, they've got this all scored. They've got it pulled up so that it can go inside the body, and we're gonna go ahead and push it right in. All right, we've got the liners pushed in, body's back inside here, and they're just releasing the clamps and come-alongs and whatever that they use to get this to pull into place. So this gentleman here, this is Ernest Martin. He's one of the few guys in the country that actually comes and puts liners in on site. You've been all over the place, haven't you?
I have.
Well, how many have you done?
Cover from Long Island, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maine.
Yeah. You've done a few, haven't you?
In the 16 years, I never took a count, but it would have been nice to know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done a lot of them. So most of the time you'd have to take this somewhere, have it done, but he actually travels right to the farm or the trucking outfit or wherever and installs these. He's got a plastic welder, the whole 9 yards. He can not only install these, he can also repair them. You get a big tear or something, he can cut it out, put a new one in, new piece in, weld it all back together. And yeah, so we'll join in with you from time to time as he goes along with this process here.
Good morning.
All right, we are we've just got the liner placed in here, and this gentleman has just stopped in. He's going to introduce himself. You are
Don Reiners. I started putting liners in trucks in 1985, and the last 10 years Ernie's been doing them. We've been all over the country putting Quicksilver and HMW liners in vehicles. When I started in 1985 and 86, I would go to a construction company and tell them, here's a piece of plastic. This is going to outlast your steel or your aluminum body. And I got laughed at a lot. Now it is pretty much standard equipment in every aluminum trailer and many, many steel bodies.
So what kind of plastic is this exact? UVM? UHM?
This is HMW, and the Quicksilver, which is a high heat, it will handle asphalt, and very, very rough material, is an ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, UHMW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a great product. I don't have anything to do with it anymore. I've turned everything over to Ernie here, and he travels the Northeast and sells and installs these liners.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between, say, this material here and something that somebody might put in the bottom of a conveyor? Same, basically the same
It
stuff?
would depend on the conveyor,
Yeah,
what
no,
your
if you
materials
set
are
it
going.
inside the shop.
Like feed,
It
like a
would
feed
be-
conveyor.
This would handle nicely feed. We've done a lot of aggregate bins
That works.
at concrete plants,
And,
asphalt plants. He's
I'll call you.
he's done the
I'll
ones
call you
around
if I
here.
have any
We've
problems,
done them all
but
through
I
New
got
England,
your text
and
you should
they
be there
improve
Okey-doke.
the wear on the steel
See ya.
immensely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing how
Mhm.
they the steel. You've done these liners in asphalt plants, concrete plants, right?
I have.
And
I have.
how often do you return? How many years later?
Never.
Right? They just the steel wears.
Depends on what
Yeah,
material
yeah,
is
exactly.
being hauled.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of there's a plastic for every application. Ernie has done a lot of welding with plastic,
Yeah.
right? Ernie, you fabricated just about. You got a slide for your kids, right?
I do.
And there's a lot of your friends and families have ponds, and
He's talking welding, not metal welding, plastic welding.
plastic welding. Yes, yes.
When you originally started, there wasn't the technology there
There was
to
not.
weld the plastic,
No,
correct?
There was not. No.
Yeah.
It's improved exponentially over the years.
Yeah, I had explained a little bit earlier that, you know, he can cut a section out that's damaged, weld a patch in,
Right.
and whatever.
That is not going to give you the original ability of the material, because the material, it's not like when you're welding steel. You get better material than what you actually, the material is. You know, it's a 70,000 pound or 80,000 pound steel. This wire, the wire that's used for this is all the same, and it's going to be an HMW wire that's going to, or rod that's going to be used for UHMW, so obviously it's not going to wear as long, but it will save a piece of equipment for a year or two or whatever longer. I like your bodies. I've been watching them, and I've been welding, fabricating for 55 years.
Have you?
Yes. I started my apprenticeship in 1966.
Yeah. So you're right in the area, are you?
I'm Macedon Center.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, what they're getting ready to do now is there is a metal, like an angle, a little J channel that'll clip on here, and it'll hold the plastic in place.
And allow it to expand and contract.
Stops materials and debris from getting them.
Yeah, because you raise that, you're not putting it right down on top of it, you're up.
They leave a space, and they only anchor this at the front. So that allows the material to expand and contract. You'll probably find on a very hot day that you might have trouble closing the tailgate, and then you'll probably have to cut some of it off. Ernie will make an arrangement for that when he's doing it.
Yeah.
It'll be right.
Yeah.
I stopped at the other farm and talked to your uncle's, the number 2 man, the number 1 man, but the number 2 man.
Okay.
Because on another situation, I belong to the Gananda Rotary, and we have a haunted hayride in the fall, and they have those nice wagons that they haul people around on.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how we can do the same thing for our Rotary. But anyway, so I had a nice conversation with them this morning.
Yeah. Well, we'll let these guys keep at it here, and we'll stop in here and there with you and explain things as they go along here. So
did you paint? You've painted the inside already, right?
So we ended up cutting this pipe on this T on this manure pipe here. We took 1.5 inches out of that, and now that seems to be lined up right where it needs to be. And they've got the liner setting in place, and they're welding on the J channels or whatever you want to call it that hold the liner in. And he's actually chose to stick weld it. He runs his leads right out of his gas drive that's on his truck. He hasn't got to wheel a welder back and forth, and he's just stick welding it. He's actually going to do a continuous weld down through the whole top of that channel. And they're also working on putting a liner up in the front as well. They've come up the wall the same height as what the sides are. Have you plastic welded it yet? Or you got to do it?
We're going to cut all the small pieces, plastic weld all the bottom where you can plastic to plastic, and then we'll put trim on the top of those to stop the grease from getting in also.
So they've got the pieces cut to go around our post, and then they'll plastic weld this channel down at the bottom where them pieces, where it fits into the floor. And that's going to be interesting to see the plastic welding process get done, because I've never seen that before. And then they'll put this same material here across the front of it. So while they're working on this, I've got a rear main seal that we're going to slam into this 900, and they're getting the pieces put together for this oil pan.
Puzzle.
Yeah, it's a puzzle, is right. So we're going to roll underneath that truck in a second. I just ripped the rear main seal out. We'll use our tool to push that seal in there, and then these guys are going to put their puzzle together. That's about 20 pieces to that.
There's enough.
He's going to silicone both sides of it, and hopefully this time it goes together. What was the other, the C12s? They were like this big thick gasket, weren't they?
It was nice.
That set down in the pan had. Yeah, so that's what we've got going on here. All right, so we have our tools down inside here, and we're going to go ahead and install this seal. So we'll kind of show you how that procedure, how that all works out here in a minute. All right, we're down underneath the truck here now, and I have a seal install tool, which we will go ahead and install to the actual end of the crankshaft. We've already cleaned everything up here, so we're going to go ahead and get our adapter installed onto the crankshaft. Got 3 bolts that have to go into that. And you can put these seals in with a hammer. However, I have not had any luck by doing that. Usually it comes back to haunt us. Other guys have had luck with putting those in with a hammer. Like I said, I have not. Got those in there. Make sure they're kind of tight is all. Don't want to go jamming them in there too hard with the impact. Alright, so now we have that on there, and we can very carefully get our seal lined up. And then we've got the other half of the tool here. That is going to set on there, and then what that's going to do is it's going to take the seal in evenly. Got this big nut here, and we'll put it on there, and then what this does is it puts equal pressure on that seal and doesn't allow it to go in cockeyed. If it goes in cockeyed a little bit, you can compromise the seal, and then this adapter will not take it any farther than the seal needs to go. Now you want to put these seals in dry. No lube necessary, Jay.
Why? Would it be easier?
You know, those keyboard heroes are going to tell you you're wrong.
I don't know. I think I did that on the list. Just some. Really? Why's that stuff?
Yeah, it's a dry seal.
I don't think we got that thing though.
Seal press.
They are easy. That's like first time we've seen that.
Yeah, of course, each motor has their own.
You got a minute? You can tell me a minute? Tell me what you want.
We are bottomed out. Now we'll go ahead and we'll just take the actual press part of it off, and then we'll take the piece off of the crankshaft. We can put the clutch back in this and call it good. And what that has done is it has put the seal in over the top of it, and then it has pushed the outside in. And my phone is ringing again. That thing don't ever let up. All right, there we have it. Seal is in place. I'll go ahead and put my tool back together. Set that in the toolbox. And as you can see, this is upside down. It gives you the rotation, and then it says install dry. So we'll go ahead and roll ourselves out from underneath here, and these guys can go ahead and clean some of this stuff up here, and then put the bolt the flywheel back into place, and the clutch, get the clutch in there, and then this transmission could go in too. Alright, that's what this tool consists of here. This is the part that goes on to the end of the crank. And then there is two different pieces depending on which engine you have to fit the actual seal itself. So I usually just put these studs in there, put nuts on the back side of them so they don't lose them, and then just stack the adapter pieces together here so that everything is all together, so I don't lose anything. We'll just set this on there, and I'll put the nuts on the back side. I don't know if them bolts would actually fall out or not, but I ended up putting nuts on there anyways, just so that we can throw this in a toolbox and not have the studs fall apart. Looks like it's gonna work. Before that was up here. She gonna work, Nader? Yeah. Hey, we got matching shirts on today. Look at us. Cute. Look at us.
Yeah. Shirt doesn't make you smarter.
Oh, I'm so retarded.
or am I? Or am I, Nate? Alright, now we need to figure out what we're going to do up here. I don't know, you got two flanges, and then what do we do? Rob a piece out of that pipe there, or do you have a piece? What is this, 10-inch or 8? Yeah, we'll figure that out. We've got to stack a little guy in there, so. Alright, he has the metal all welded in continuously all the way around, and now they are welding the plastic together with this plastic welding unit here. Got the what we would call filler wire. It's actually plastic filler. That's an expensive tool there, isn't it, Ernest?
It is.
Yeah. How much is it?
That there's $10,000.
No kidding. That's pretty expensive.
You can get a cheaper welder, but you can't weld it thick plastic.
Gotcha.
And the right guy's done for the right job.
That's laying a bead about 1 inch thick.
Inch thick, yeah.
Melting it right in there.
Keep going right around the corner. I'll stand on it once you get away from that corner. The only thing with plastic welding is it don't get hard right away. You gotta
Give it time.
make sure that it's not like a steel wire.
What's the name of your business, Ernest, if anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Ernest Martin.
Ernest Martin. I'll get the information from you, and I can put a link in the description. And
Cards that you can
yeah,
with somebody if they need.
if anybody wants a bed liner or a bed liner replaced, this guy's the guy to do
I
it.
do a lot of repairs. Excavators are a bad deal with liners. They reach in and scoop. They don't want to dump the whole load, so they're reaching into the excavators. And I just had one last week. They caught the back 6 cuts and tore the whole liner right off.
No kidding.
That's the excavator. You don't mess around with it. And it's slower than aluminum or steel welding, as you can see.
Now, what we would call filler wire, what is this plastic? It's the exact,
The same poly plastic.
so it's the exact same kind as what the liner is. When you weld plastic, you have to go with the exact material.
You have to have the exact plastic for the kind of plastic.
Okay.
This is poly plastic, this is poly wire. You can weld PVC pipe, but you need PVC wire.
Okay. Almost like the same characteristics as welding steel. You can't weld aluminum with carbon steel wire. Now, will that plastic stick to the steel too, the stuff you're welding? Will it work like caulk anyway?
It will.
Yeah. So it'll somewhat seal up the gap.
Some people don't have a plastic welder, so they'll just silicone
Okay.
across the front. This here is a little better.
Alright, you can kind of see how that's getting done. So I'll drop a link in the description of this video with Ernest's contact information, and we'll join back up with you here once they get this front end glued in here. We'll go ahead and leave them alone, and they can keep at it here. Alright, they just got this job all done. They've got the front end welded. They did the plastic welding, and then they capped it off on the posts, and then they ended up bolting the front down. I don't know, they must have 10 bolts in there, so that's the only spot in the body here that is bolted down. It's just the front, because they need to leave room for expansion here so that when the sun gets beaten on this, this will actually stretch out. They've left some room on the sides here so that this plastic can come up into this J channel, and then of course it can move back better than an inch or so here. So we'll put a link in the description here. Ernest's got me, he's dropping off some cards here. And if anybody needs a liner put in their truck, this is the guy to get a hold of.
Hey, I'll do it for you. You let me know, and we'll get you fixed up.
Yeah. New installs or even repairs.
Repairs, use, old.
Patches, you name it.
We do new, old, whatever.
Yeah. That'll be good.
Yeah, no, let me know.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
us on.
man.
Have a good day.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys. You guys did a good
Yeah,
job.
good one.
Yep, take it easy. Well, we are about ready to wrap up this video. They've got the liner all in. I just got done going around the whole body of the wire wheel, and now we are ready to prime it and paint it. Now we have the inside primed, but the inside is not painted yet. We ended up getting the rear main seal, put in the W900, and Jason has the oil pan installed. And another thing he did, we had a crack in this fender, and he ended up using that 3M product, that panel bonding material. We're gonna see if that'll hold that fender together. They kind of etched it out a little bit with a little sander, kind of V'd it out, laid some of that product in there. And another thing they did, they ended up squaring up this tank. If you recall a video or two ago, they ended up putting this tank on, but they didn't have it centered with where the mounts go on these straps, these aluminum straps that they ended up putting on there. This tank had leaked at some point in time. Something must have grabbed onto that suction hose. It bent the tank. It was leaking there, and then as long as we had it off, we had them put some bands on there to kind of strengthen the tank where the straps sit. If you recall, on most of these tanks, not on most of these tanks, but if you recall in the past, we have had these tanks fixed before. And Tri-Tank and where the heck are they? They're like Baldwinsville area. They end up fixing these tanks for us. It is a little salty to get them fixed, but new tanks are quite expensive. I don't have a TIG welder. I need to get one, and that's what they had used to put these bands on there. And they also fixed the top bung here and the lower one. We'll jump up inside this body and we'll kind of show you what the liner looks like. I ended up going around the J-channel piece that holds the liner in with a wire wheel, and we'll have to go ahead and install some primer on that metal strip there all the way around, and then of course we'll paint the whole thing all at once. They ended up putting some bolts in here just to hold the front down. Then of course they've got it plastic welded, and we're repeating ourselves, so we want to be careful. We'll go ahead and show you Jered's project here with the frac tank. They're kind of finishing this up. They ended up getting things modified so that they can run an agitation port off of here, which the agitation, or not the agitation, the load cart is going to hook up to this valve here. And things were off a little bit just because this wasn't designed to be built this way. And he had to shorten this T up 1.5 inches to 2 inches. And then of course he had to add on to the top here, and that's what he's got done here now. They basically have everything put back together. We need to just, they basically got it put back together. This valve here, this one valve that they put up on there with where the load cart is going to load from was over here. And what would that go to? A suction for drag line, right? That would have been...
Sucks in.
No, this one here. That would have got...
Yeah, suction.
Would have went to the There was a valve on here so that you could run off of it to a drag line setup. Now, I think they could hook to here, right? Could hook to there with a drag line too. Gravity's there. Okay, gravity's there. That valve on that side, this pump would have, no, the pump wouldn't have pushed it to there.
No, it's suction to fill the tank.
To fill the tank, yeah, okay. All right, well, yeah, whatever. I forget how this thing was set up. But at any rate, this is set up now to be able to run off of it with a load cart, which will be nice. We got some areas where the driveways are like 50 feet long, and it's gravel driveways with a ditch on either side, and this will be good to run the drag line, or not a drag line, but a lay flat hose off of it to a load cart. So that is gonna do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you at the next one, right, Nate?
Yep.
Nate wants to get this job done and get hauling manure, don't you? Couple weeks, another couple weeks. You'll be right in your glory, won't you? Huh? There's one request that Nate would like to make, and Jered's gonna try to get it done. Being that this is, the tractor that's on it is gonna be away from where we load, Jered wants to get a remote hooked up to the throttle and the PTO so that Nate hasn't got to get out of the tractor to walk over and load it. The only other way we could do it is get somebody else sit in the tractor and load you, right? That'd work too. Well, take it easy, folks. We'll catch you at the next one. These guys are picking up here. This will be able to get pulled out of here in the morning at some point, and we'll start on the next project.